Hi, everyone. My name is John Dominguez. I'm a clinical psychologist for Meridian Psychiatric Partners. Hopefully, the name and the face are a little bit familiar because it may mean that you saw the first video in this series on psychological wellness. It's hard enough for me to speak into a computer. I don't know if I'll ever get used to that, but if I was speaking into a computer, recording myself, and no one was ever going to listen to what I was saying, that would be talking into a computer and talking to myself, which is downright embarrassing. So thank you very much for tuning in. If you didn't see the first of the 6 video series on psychological wellness that I'm doing, the first one was about preventative mental health. I presented a model for us to uh, put some effort toward preventive mental health care in the same way that we do preventative medical health care. So if you want to check that out, you can find that video available on this platform. The next 4 videos will deal with interpersonal effectiveness in terms of social problem solving and interpersonal conflict resolution. And then we'll get into emotions, how we understand them, how we regulate them, and how we cope with them adaptively. So hopefully you'll be checking that out too. But today we're going to focus on a model for personal growth. So how do we create positive change in ourselves in any capacity? This could apply to several different domains of functioning in your life. So I don't know if you can see well on the screen, but I tried to make this slide the shape of a pyramid because what I'm presenting to you is what I call the change pyramid. I call it informally the change period, but it is a model for personal growth. How does positive change even happen in a general perspective? And I developed this model not necessarily for clients that I was working with. I mean, indirectly, yes, but I designed this as a tool for my supervisees, the interns and therapists on my team, as a way to sort of diagnose uh, cases where the client just seems stuck. A lot of times you can be working with a client and it seems like they're just not making any progress. They're resorting to the same maladaptive behaviors or ways to manage emotions. And as a therapist, you know we take that stuff really seriously and we want to help kids, and we help clients. So when things are kind of halted, we talk to each other and we get supervision and consult and do all these smart things to try to help figure out what's going on. And so this model came out of that. And when you break down, at least to me, when I break down positive change, growth in any way, to me, I can break it down into 4 distinct steps. And this slide, as you can see, well, I hope you can see that it's sort of like a hierarchical pyramid. I stole the hierarchical structure from Maslow, but it's because it's the same concept. You can't achieve the highest level of change until the prerequisite steps have been achieved. So the steps build off each other. Okay, so if you haven't established your very first stage in this model, then the next stage is you're not gonna it's irrelevant, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So let me just introduce the steps, even though you can probably read them. um, but the first step in positive change is an awareness. This is just understanding that there's something um, about how you're managing your life that could be improved. That's really all you need to know. That could be improved. And the second step is about motivation. If you've identified a positive change that you could make in your life, then it's a matter of, well, do you want to make that change? Is that an important change for you to make right now? And that's the motivation piece. And the belief stage is 2 parts. It's the belief in sort of the process. So when we set out to make positive changes in our lives, the plan that we make of how we're going to make that improvement. That's sort of what I refer to as the process. So you have to believe that the way you're going about trying to make this change is going to be the effective way and efficient way to make the change. And you have to believe that you're capable and able and willing to do what's required of you to participate in the process. Okay, I think I'm making this sound more complicated than it actually is. When we go through a couple examples, it'll be very clear. But the third step is the belief stage, and that's two parts. That's believing in the process and believing in yourself to participate in the process as you're expected to or need to. And finally, if you're aware of the problem, you're motivated to change it, and you believe in yourself in the process, it's just a matter of committing every day to the practice and to mastering and honing the learned strategies. And I make that sound like it's really easy. It's easy to understand. It's just hard to implement. So that's the pyramid. I'm going to keep the pyramid up as I go through the examples, but they're going to make a heck of a lot more sense. Let me start with just a couple examples. Couple of kind of straightforward examples. Let's start with like simple weight loss. Like let's say that I don't know, saw a recent picture of myself and compared it to how I may have looked 10 years ago, or I noticed that a pair of pants that I wear a lot is fitting a little bit tighter. So let's say that I become aware that I could lose 10 pounds. That might be something that would be, a healthy thing for me to do. I would look trimmer, I'd be lighter on my feet. I'd probably be healthier. So let's say that that's our example, that I'm aware that I could lose 10 pounds. Okay. So there's the start. Okay. I'm aware of an area of my life that I may want to make a positive change in. Okay. And now it's about the motivation piece. All right. So it may be that absolutely I really want to lose this 10 pounds. I mean, it's summertime. I still like to go to the beach a lot. I don't want to, the trimmer I can be, the better. Like, I really want to feel lighter on my feet so my workouts can be more intense. I'll feel better about myself, in so many ways. Like, I'm pumped. I want to do this. I want to do this, want to lose this 10 pounds. Okay. Now we're cooking with gas, right? I'm aware that there's a change that I could make in my life and I really want to change it. Okay. I'm ready to move on to the belief stage. We're ready to address the belief thing. But let's stay in the motivation stage for a bit. What if I didn't achieve that? What if I said to myself, yeah, I could lose 10 pounds, but why? I'm not an underwear model. Like, who cares? I don't need to like look like, have a six pack for anybody. Like, what? That's like not even something that's like an important thing in my life. Like, I recognize that I was probably lighter 10 or 15 years ago, but who the heck cares? I'm 51 years old. Like, it's not a big deal. So obviously, if I felt that way, if I endorsed that narrative, that's not going to equate to any kind of motivation to make this change. And so our process then just stops right there. Because if you don't achieve any one of these stages, the change isn't going to happen. So that's an example of, you know, not being motivated, and then the change process will stop right there. This is not something I'm motivated to do, so it's just not going to happen. Okay. But let's go back to the first scenario in which I am totally motivated. I want to feel lighter on my feet. I want to look better at the beach, whatever. Sounds silly, but you know, um, it would be overall better for my health. Okay. So now we go into the belief stage, belief in the process and belief in myself. So the good news about this example is I can research and explore dozens, if not hundreds of, diet and exercise plans, separate and combined. And you know, I can search around, I can explore, search around, and I can pick one that I can, really, really, really get behind. You know, I work out every day, so that's not going to be a big problem. But I am going to have to like pick a diet plan that can work for me because I like to eat what I like to eat. I try to control the portions or whatever, but I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to stop cold turkey on the things I really like. Like, I'm not going to stop, the bar food, the pizza and the chicken wings and the nachos. I mean, those things make me really happy when I eat them. So that's part of this too, is knowing yourself. So let's say I did explore a plan and I found a plan that combined, say, exercise and diet plan that I looked at and said, okay, that makes sense to me. It still allows me to have some of the foods that I like. It's not completely restrictive, and I can, and I can do the exercise pieces. I've already carved out time every day, to do that. Like this is something I can get behind. It's introducing other foods that I don't eat a whole lot, but I know they're things that I like. Like, so let's say I find this plan. So I find this process. I find this diet and exercise plan that I believe will get me the results that I want, because it's given me all this data that, oh, people who do this diet and exercise plan, they lose 10 pounds in 3 weeks and da, 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 da. Like, I'm believing all that. I believe in the process, and I'm believing in myself. I believe that I can do my part and I can do the exercise piece and I can stick to the diet plan because it's fairly flexible and I can adapt to that. Now we're good. Okay. So I'm aware of this change that I want to make. I want to lose 10 pounds. I'm very motivated to do it. I've found a process. I found a plan that I can totally invest in. I believe the plan will work and I believe in my ability to do my part. Okay. There's the belief. So now we're ready to talk about the last and final stage, and that's committing. That's committing every day, sticking to the exercise plan, sticking to the diet. It may mean, you know, not, walking by a pizza place on the days where you're not going to have the pizza because the smell is going to like tempt you and going to pull you into the restaurant or whatever. But these are things that are all about commitment in order um, to stay focused on the things that you committed to do during this change process. That's what this final stage is about. Okay, so that's what it looks like for that example. And if I were able to follow through on my commitments to stick to that plan, having the belief that I can and belief that the plan's going to work, I maintain my motivation to knock out those pounds, then and I maintain that this is something that I'm aware that this is something that I still want to focus on, getting a little bit trimmer, then there's a very, very, very good chance that the positive change is going to happen. I've achieved all these stages and it's going to happen. And you can also see that if any one of those stages I wasn't able to achieve for any reason, there will not be any positive change. Okay. So you can see how this works, and this works for learning a new skill. This works for so many things. And I'll give another example just again so we know exactly what we're talking about. Say I like sports, so I do a lot of sports analogy. I hope that doesn't annoy a whole lot of people, but say I played high school basketball. So let's say um, it's during my high school basketball season, and let's say either the coach comes up to me to tell me, or let's say that I was looking at my own stats and I noticed, either because I noticed on my own or the coach told me, hey, Dominguez, your free throw percentage, man, it's, last year it was a lot better. This year it's down to it's 68%. That's low. That's low for a guard on the free throw line. You get to the line sometimes, we need you to shoot at a higher percentage. So whether my coach is the one who makes me aware, or whether I'm reading my own stats, or whether I don't even need to read the stats, if I just know and can sense that, man, I've been missing a lot more free throws I'm used to missing during games, then now we're ready to start this process. I'm aware that my free throw percentage can be improved. Okay. And then now it's a matter of motivation. Okay. And, I could tell my coach, oh my gosh, coach, I gotta do this, man. I don't know what happened with my free throws, man. Can you help me like figure out, like, let's look at the tape and can you help me figure out what's going on? Because I really, really, really want to fix this. Okay. That's an example of me being very motivated about this process. And so, we're cooking with gas. We're heading in the right direction. In contrast to if I were to say, coach, so what? if I'm only shooting 68%, I'm still scoring a lot. I'm still getting a lot of assists. I'm rebounding more than I ever have. Like, it's not like I'm losing games for us at the free throw line. Like, it's not that big of a deal. If that was my attitude and my narrative about this particular hypothetical, then that would equate to not having the motivation to make that change. And so the change process would stop. Okay. Same thing with the weight loss example. So, but again, in the previous example, in the former example, let's say I'm motivated, coach telling me what to do. All right, now comes the belief. I gotta find a process that I can believe in, and it's got to be something that I'm capable of doing. So let's say, that my coach says, yes, let's watch the tape together, and then the coach says, yeah, I've noticed that, I don't know, like you need to get your elbow up higher. You're not following through like you used to. That might be, I think that's why. I think that's why you've been less consistent on the free throw line. Okay. And let's say I believe that. Let's say, oh my God, that's probably true. Because if I'm not getting my elbow up, I'm not getting the same kind of, soft touch that you need to shoot free throws well. So let's say I believe in the process that if I address that particular skill, that's going to increase my free throw percentage. And let's say I believe in myself that I can do what's being asked, because the coach is also going to say, here's what I want you to do. I want you to stay after practice every day for the next 2 weeks. And I want you to take 100 extra free throws. And I really want you to concentrate on just getting your elbow up and following through the way we talked about. And if I'm like, no problem, coach, I can totally do that. I don't mind staying. That's only gonna take me like 20, 25 minutes. That's fine. Yeah, I can do that. And yeah, let's go with this. I'll do that after everybody leaves. As soon as everyone leaves for practice, let me stay in the gym for another half an hour, and I'm on it. Okay. So if I believe in that process, that skill building process, and I believe in myself, again, we're good to go. But again, in contrast, if I were to be like, coach, I'm not, I mean, I want my free throw percentage to improve. I'm not staying after practice every day for half an hour. I got like homework. I got a girlfriend. I got other things I want to do. Like, I'm not staying after practice. I don't want to stay after practice 30 minutes. Like, I can imagine saying that to a coach, but people do, I guess, and people, whatever. But that's not the point. The point is, if I don't believe in myself to follow through on my end of the bargain, again, the belief stage is not achieved. We're not going anywhere. So, but if I'm saying I'm dialed in, I'm staying after, now it's all about the commitment. Now it's just all about making sure that every day after practice, you stay every day, you do the 100 free throws, you focus on your arm, focus on your follow through. And again, just like in the other example, if all these stages are achieved, this exponentially increases the likelihood that you're going to achieve the positive change. And if you don't achieve any of these stages up to that point, it's not going to happen. Okay, so let me talk about it now in kind of a more serious example, because the last video I recorded, and I don't know if you saw it or not, but part of the preventative health care model is about self care, like part of like boosting our psychological immunity. A big part of it is self care. Self care is one of the 5 components of this model that I offered up. I put out there in the first video, and a big part, a major bullet point under the self care component was goal setting. Like, if we're going to be the healthiest, part of self care is being the best version of ourselves, and everything that means. And in order for us to continue to move ourselves forward toward that goal of being the best version of ourselves, there needs to be some meaningful goal setting, setting meaningful and attainable goals to keep ourselves putting one foot in front of the other and improving ourselves. Okay. That's obviously an important self care thing. This model, this change pyramid, can guide us in that goal setting process. We need to make sure that the meaningful and attainable goals that we're going to set for ourselves, we can look at those goals through this lens of awareness, motivation, belief, and commitment, to make sure that these are that we're set up to create this positive change. Okay. Is this Is this an important enough problem to be aware of? Am I really motivated to do it? Do I believe in the path I'm going to take to improve myself? Can I do what's expected of me? And can I commit to it every day? These are questions that we can ask ourselves as we're setting goals for ourselves. So it's another reason why I wanted to present this model. But as a therapist and as a clinician, and if any of you guys listening to this are doing that, are viewing it because you're in the human services mental health profession, again, this is what I designed this for. Because what was happening is supervisees were, this happened to me too. I'm not just saying it's the therapist that I supervise, but but they would come, some therapists would come and say, I'm really stuck with this client and I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. Okay. And before this model was conceived, there was assumptions that I think we all kind of made. Like take an example of, I work a lot with adolescents. So an example of an adolescent, a teen boy, let's say, who just is getting into it a lot at home. There's a lot of tension at home. He's fighting with his parents a lot. It's impacting the little sister. The parents are frustrated. The kid is angry at his parents because they're always mad at him, and the parents think that the kid doesn't listen anymore. That this is a common story for a lot of the kids that I've seen. So when we work with a kid like that, among the things that we do in terms of building relationships and validating feelings and understanding the student, the child and the teenager in a way that's sort of meaningful. At some point in the therapeutic process, we're gonna go over skills to sort of manage interpersonal conflict in a way that doesn't escalate it. Let's choose a tone and let's choose words that are more respectful and more collaborative so that there's going to be less tension at home. You might not always get what you want from your parents, but at the very least, if you're using these skills and being respectful, you're not going to have the knockdown drag out fights in the house that drives everybody crazy. Okay, so part of the therapeutic process again would be this sort of skill building. Maybe we do role plays, maybe we just talk to the kid a lot about this stuff and model it, and and it wouldn't be uncommon that in a case like this, 2, 3 weeks go by and the family tension hasn't improved, it hasn't decreased at all, maybe even increased, but there's definitely not been a change. And when we're sitting in supervision and we're talking about, okay, why aren't we getting anywhere with this kid? The assumption that we would make without even thinking about it is that this kid is um, not not implementing the skills, the communication skills that we practice and we've taught him because, well, maybe we just didn't teach it well enough. Maybe he's not confident enough using these healthier communication strategies on his own. So I think so. Obviously, what we need to do is next time we have him in the office, let's go back to practicing these skills so we can improve his confidence in doing this independently at home. Okay, that's not unreasonable, right? Except if you look at it through the lens of this model, because dozen years ago, before I developed the model, I wasn't thinking about it in terms of these 4 stages. I was just thinking he's not doing what we're asking him to do. It's probably because we didn't teach him well enough. Let's just go back to the drawing board. Let's go back to the practice field on this. Okay. So next session, let's keep reteaching the skills. But what if the kid isn't even aware that that's a problem? What if the kid is like every teenager? Every teenager gets into it with their parents. There's no problem here. Okay, that's an issue, not an ish me. If you have a problem and they have a problem with how I talk to them, that's on them. Okay, I don't have a problem with it. Like all my friends talk to their parents this way. There's no issue here. Okay, or if yeah, or if he is aware but not motivated, yeah, I say some awful things to my parents sometimes. We can kind of get into it. And I can be pretty disrespectful and rude. But so they're rude to me too. So I mean, I don't need to change if they're not gonna. So that's an example of being aware and not motivated. What about being aware, motivated, but not having the belief? Yeah, I can be kind of a jerk to my parents sometimes. And, you know, I probably shouldn't be that way. Like I wish I wasn't always talking to them like I was such a jerk. Like I want to be more respectful to them. Like they don't deserve to be treated the way that I've been treating them. But the therapy's not going to help. The skills you're telling me, those are like totally cringe. I've never do that. I've never talked to my parents that way. I got my own style. So that's an example of, yeah, I probably could make a change and I want to make a change, but your skills training, your this therapy that you're talking about, like to address my defiance, like that's not working for me. Okay, I'm only defiant because people ask me to do stupid things. That's not on me. That's on you and everyone else who's like tells me to do dumb stuff. Okay, so you can be aware, you can be aware and motivated and not believe in the process. Okay, or he can be like, yeah, I know I talk to them in ways that are rude and I really shouldn't. Like I kind of feel bad every time I talk to them like that because they don't deserve it. Like I wish I, could treat them. I want to treat them more respectfully. And then what if they even believed in the process? And they said, I'm glad we're practicing these skills. I think the skills that we're practicing in here, I think that they make sense to me. So this is helping me like tell my parents like where I'm coming from without being disrespectful and without like escalating our conflict. And I can do that. I can do that. The skills we're practicing, I know I can do that. I know I can do that at home. Okay. So aware, motivated, have the belief. But what if they couldn't? What if there was a problem with commitment? What if even though they believed in the process in themselves and they're still motivated, they know what they're working on, what if it was just too hard to commit every day? What if the unforeseen variable was, when I get angry, when they make me irritated and angry, I forget all the skills. I like I don't that's the last thing I think of. All I think about is like wanting to make them feel the same way that they're making me feel, which is basically frustrated and angry. So it's like I forget all the skills that we practice when I'm angry. Okay? That makes sense too. That's an example of someone who's struggling at the commitment stage. And this is the mistake that myself and my therapist were making. We assumed that every problem was a kid struggling in the commitment phase. And if we're addressing it as that, if we're trying to solve the problem and targeting the commitment stage when the kid isn't even motivated or aware or doesn't even care, believe in the therapy in the skills building process, it's like you're speaking another language. And that's what was happening. We were throwing more skills practice at kids who didn't even want to get better or didn't even believe in the skills or didn't even agree that this is a problem that they want to spend any time on. So that was where the development of this model came in, and it's been useful, not only for our own personal growth but in as mental health professionals, like helping people understand the change process. I use the change pyramid with all of my supervisees, all of my therapists, and they use it and we use it with all of our clients as well. I do this all the time. And we talk about setting goals, and you know, I'm in private practice now, and people come in and they wouldn't be here if they didn't have something that they wanted to work on. And when we set our goals, we keep these things. I present this model, and we keep these things in mind. So this is the change pyramid. This is the model for um, personal growth that I wanted to record today and share with you guys. Um, I hope you found it a little bit useful. Again, my name is John Dominguez. I'm a clinical psychologist with um, Radiant Psychiatric Partners in the Chicagoland area, and I hope to see you guys soon on other videos. All right, thank you guys. Be well.